I'd like to begin by introducing Kendall Cox, who is our speaker for this evening. Kendall has an interesting history. She graduated from college in Danville, Kentucky, and went into the Peace Corps in Botswana, Africa, where she lived for 3.5 years, teaching and coaching at a middle school in a village there. That is where she met her husband, Wade, a fellow volunteer, and they returned home with two little ones on the way. Sounds like a book. The Mississippi Teacher Corps brought their family to Greenville, Mississippi in 1995, and what they thought would be a 2-year stay in the Mississippi Delta has turned into almost 30 years, including raising their twins there, getting involved with the community and their church, First Presbyterian. Today, Kendall is Director of Programs for Living Waters for the World. Living Waters for the World is a nonprofit organization that trains teams to work with partners on water purification projects. There are now over 1,150 water partnerships in the U.S. and 27 other countries, bringing clean water to God's children. Today, Kendall will tell us how we can support clean water access domestically and worldwide. So for those of you who have recently joined, if you would put your location in the chat, please. And then I will open us with a prayer. Creator God, be with us in this very divisive time as we experience hate, lack of compassion, and lack of tenderness. Keep us attentive tonight as we learn about how we can be compassionate and tender to those who are suffering from lack of water. Be with us and help us be your feet, Lord, on this earth. Okay. So, Kendall, would you like to begin?
I would.
Okay, just one more thing. We will take questions at the end of the program. So if you would like to put your question in the chat, you can do that, or you can just ask it when Kendall has finished speaking. Okay, now you can go. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thanks for that reminder. I want you to imagine something with me. You woke up this morning, and when you went to probably do the first thing most of us do, which is make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea to start our day, you went to the kitchen sink and turned on the tap, and what came out looked like this. That would be pretty confusing for a lot of us. So you'd probably let the water run for a while, right? See if there was a change. But what if there was no change and you went to another sink, maybe your bathroom sink, to see if there was something different, but it was actually worse? And not only did the water look contaminated, it didn't smell so great either. And you've got coffee and breakfast to make, you've got teeth to brush, maybe a baby to bathe, and you don't have an option. So we would go to the shop, right? Try to solve the problem that way. But if you got to the shops and the shelves were bare, you would then realize what too many people around the world have to face. This is their reality, not just for a day, but not just for a week or months, but years, and maybe even for a lifetime. So Living Waters for the World came about with the belief that all God's children deserve clean water. We grew up in the Presbyterian Church back in the early 1990s, and I'm going to take us all the way back to then because it started with some funding from the Presbyterian Hunger Program. Thank God for that, and Presbyterian women. This happened here in the Synod of Living Waters. So tackling something as huge as the world water crisis would be rather overwhelming. So instead of taking it in one fell swoop, we had to just do it the best we could, and that turned out to be one community at a time. So We believe that all God's children deserve clean water. I want to show you a picture of the very first water system that was installed. This was 1996. This was at a health clinic in Empalme, Mexico. And I want you to take a look at that. That's a lot of filters. And you know
Yeah.
what? I am so grateful for that very first team that didn't wait until they had it perfect, but they had clean water. You see a lot of filters, you see a pump there, and that's what that system looked like. So they got started with the people that they had around the table. They made lots of rooms. Our founder, Will Howie, a Presbyterian pastor, who had just had that idea of clean water from an article that he read when he was in seminary at Columbia. And just the name came to him, Living Waters for the World, partially
Mhm.
from the hunger action work that he had done and our synod name. But God hadn't revealed it all to him at that point. But God did make him the type of person who would invite lots of people to the table, sharing with them this dream of clean water for all God's children. So, revised, always being revised, is a mantra that we embraced from the get go at Living Waters for the World. And you can see this is our current training day. Now, there are still filters. There are 3 filters here on this training bay. And this is at Camp Hopewell, which is one of our training partners. Camp Hopewell is in Oxford, Mississippi. We have another training partner at Johnsonburg Camp and Conference Center. And that's up in New Jersey. But you can see there's a trash filter there, that gray filter that's in the bottom right.
Mhm.
That's going
Mhm.
to get out big things, like some of the things that you saw in this jar of water. There's a pump there that helps move the water through the system. The big blue canisters that you see, those are micron filters. Sometimes we put different sized filters in there. We're going to test the water. We're going to see the quality of the water and then match the system. We have 3 different options and a few configurations. We try to match it to the quality of the water. So inside there, we're taking the water, filtering out all the way down to zero point 0.5 microns. That is going to get most of what would make you sick. And yet, there are some things that are smaller than that that could get through. And so you see that box that says Blue Force on it. That is the disinfection on this particular type
Mm.
of system. And what ozone does is it's an ozone generator. It disinfects the water, so it's going to zap anything that might get through there. You see, there's a little piece of kind of clear PVC that looks like it's got gray ends on it. That's where the ozone gets churned into the water and mixes, and that's how it disinfects the water. So our operators are trained how to use this. They get trained on how to put it together. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted you all to see our current system and our system, what it looks like. We did
Mhm.
not start here, but now it's 2025. We've learned some things, but there are some similarities, and I'll talk about those as well. So, we've learned a lot along the way from our partners. And one lesson that we have learned is that this is not solo work. We do it together, gathering around the table, and we're all bringing our assets. And we feel that God has called us to work in this particular way. We've learned that we're better together. And so that's the way that we are answering this call. I'm reminded of the scripture in Ecclesiastes 4:9 through 12, and I'm just paraphrasing here. It's better to have a partner than go it alone. Share the work, share the wealth, and if one falls down, the other helps. By yourself, you are unprotected, but with a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A 3-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. So we all together work and we're keeping our eye on the prize. And that prize is clean water for a whole community. So we're seeking to serve newborn babies. And I know Rick Johnson will love this picture because he sent it to us, all the way to great grandparents and everyone in between. Uh, Access to clean water should not depend on how much money you happen to have in your pocket or where you were born. Clean water is meant for all of God's children. So Living Waters for the World has been lucky enough, blessed in many ways with faithful volunteers who spend hours and hours, day after day, week after month after year, working on sustainable water for communities. And I know we have some on this call right now, so I want to give a shout out to them. We now have, as Jane said at the beginning, over 1,150 water partnerships in 28 countries. You can see those pictures there of the flags. One thing that I want to point out here is that, we come from all over the world and we don't all agree on everything, but we come together in a way that is mightier than agreeing on everything. We love God and we care about people getting clean water, and everything flows out of that. So some people are surprised to see the U.S. flag on here. We do have contaminated water. I know you all know this. We do have to work differently in the United States than we do, say, in the Yucatan or Guatemala. We can't serve a whole town, a whole village in that sort of way. There's certain regulations here. So I would be happy to talk to anyone about the work that we do here, but it is more single family homes. And that's how we can serve people who are in need of purified water. And right now we're mostly in Kentucky and Tennessee doing that work. Something else that people sometimes ask me, they'll say, well, how many wells have you dug? Well, I haven't dug a single well, you all. We are not well diggers. Thank God for people that's their area of expertise. What we do is we take contaminated water that it's already available. It's some source, perhaps a well, or it could be a municipal water supply even, and we will plumb into that system that you all saw so that the neighborhood can come there for purified water that's, drinkable and safe. So we do this work with each other. As I said, we don't do it for each other. And it ends up that it is not just the water that gets transformed. We as partners are changed as well. I have yet to meet anyone who goes and does this work in partnership and comes back having not been completely changed. It's one of those things, and I know you all have seen this. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you're starting to think about it all the time. How do we do this better? So I want to talk to you all just a little bit about how Living Waters for the World works through partners. One thing that we do is we train partners at our school that I mentioned. We've got a site at Camp Hopewell in Mississippi and a site up in New Jersey at Camp Johnsonburg. Thank God for our partners in training because we couldn't do this without them. But we have a 5-day training school, and teams can come from churches. They come from Rotary groups around the country. And sometimes we have international students who come and they learn how to manage a water partnership and how to work together with their partners. So here you see a picture. We have a group that's from Kentucky, and Bill Reed, you know this group very well, and they're here with their partners in the Yucatan. The picture in the middle is a water committee that has been trained, and they are at a training college in Ghana. And so they have a water system that they are going to be overseeing, making sure that the operators and the educators have what they need for that system to be sustainable and serve in a safe way. The picture on the right is from Peru, and this particular partner, they deliver water up and down the river in their part of Peru. And if you think about water and how much water weighs, a 5-gallon container weighs a little over 41 and a half pounds. So you have to think about that when we're doing this work, thinking about transportation and how we're going to handle that. One of our other workshops is on health education. So we're not just focused on the water system. The water system is important, but another life-saving lessons that come as part of this project has to do with health education. And we focus on just a few things. There are lots of things we could talk about, but we're going to focus on the hows and the whens of hand washing, how to do that properly and when to do it. You know, we could all do a better job of washing our hands, and we would actually knock down a lot of diseases if we did that properly, especially before we cook and after we go to the bathroom. So these are things that we all need reminders on. The other lesson has to do with how to use the purified water. We're not going to use it for washing our clothes or washing the floor, of course. It needs to be prioritized. So you see some pictures here. There's an educator who is showing you a filter and how contaminated that filter looks, and she's telling the children, let the system do this. Don't have your body have to be that filter for this water. This is how the system works. You see our Ghanaian siblings there, and that's a whole group that we trained. And the picture at the bottom, they're talking about how you can sometimes look at water and it might look like it is okay, but actually there could be quite deadly things in there. So the young people there are learning about that. And then the picture on the far right is one of our health educators who is teaching a little one how to properly wash their hands, by pouring, not purified water for her. You can just wash your hands using friction and soap and thyme, and that will get the germs off. But I love this little girl's face. I never knew that hand washing could be that much fun, but our health educators do that. There are also some spiritual lessons that go along with this. So it's that reminder that God cares about us. God cares about our bodies and our souls, and God loves us, and God wants us all to be healthy with a potential that God had in mind for us. And here's a picture of our water systems, some of our operators. You'll see a pattern here. Women make great operators. So do all of our siblings do a great job. I just happened to grab these pictures for this slideshow. But here you see one of our operators who has washed that bottle inside and out. The inside is going to need to be washed with purified water. And now she is filling it so that it can go to a customer. The picture of the woman in white, that is an ultraviolet system that is in Peru, and she is an operator. She's there with her daughter, and she's taking care of the neighborhood. The young woman there behind the tiled room that you see, she is in Havana, Cuba, a 17-year-old who's running the water system there with a group of others. And then the woman in the far right, that is a reverse osmosis with softening system, and you see in the background. Some of our systems produce between 400 and 500 bottles, those 5-gallon bottles each and every day. And they're not just serving their community, they're serving villages around them. So this can turn into a missional business that provides jobs that are very stable. It's providing purified water as well. So we're very, very grateful for all of our faithful partners in that way. You know, a local church serving its community purified water becomes a gathering place, a safe place to gather. It almost reminds you of the well where women used to gather. And it's that for the whole neighborhood. I'm reminded that Moraima Gonzalez, who is our in-country coordinator in Cuba, recently said that our partners become instruments of hope. And I really hold on to that in this ministry of love, and that is what we feel with our partners each and every time we visit them. It is not all easy. A lot of our partners are chasing that are very complex, and they're getting more complex with each and every year that passes. And yet, what you see, and this is, I think, what our partners have taught us the most, is, and yet we persevere. We are resilient together, and they figure a lot out, and then they share those lessons back with us. One of the lessons that we learned was that partners who are close to one another we're just organically starting to support one another. Oh, you need this kind of filter, or you need this particular fitting for your system. Well, we have an extra one of those. And what grew out of that was networks. And so we have networks in these parts of the world where we work, and we have staff in these places. And you all, I could not fit all of our staff onto one slide. I have to use 3 slides here. So here is a picture of some of our staff from Cuba and from El Salvador, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Ghana. And I'm going to show you some more pictures. Haiti and Honduras. We have pictures from Peru, some of our staff there. And here are some pictures from the Yucatan and from Southeast Mexico. And we could not do this work without the support of these people. They are a bridge for us. They know the culture, they know the language, they help to vet the next partner who is going to serve the community. If you could imagine people lining up before dawn at your church door to come get water, and that's what these partners are doing. So it's quite a mantle that they take on when they say yes to being a Living Waters for the World water partner. So we want to make sure that they have what they need to be sustainable and to be successful and to serve, because we want that clean water flowing not just for this year or next year, but we have some systems that have been in place 5, 10, 15, 20 years and beyond. So we have a good recipe, and our in-country staff are very good cooks, and they teach us a lot by sharing some of those lessons. So we're grateful to them. I wanted to share this picture with you all because it's one of our partners in Cuba. This is an Adventist church. We're very ecumenical in all the places where we work, and Adventists are wonderful partners. They are very focused on health and showing love to their neighbors. Pastor Diaz is the man in the glasses. He is the treasurer, and he's also trained on how to run the system, but he's over the water committee and has been since 2018. And this is one of probably our biggest producer in Cuba, facing many, many challenges, including regular blackouts and even water shortages, not just after hurricanes, but just on a regular basis. And they always figure it out. Someone will loan them a generator. Someone will bring a water truck for them to process the water. And I asked him the last time I was in Cuba, I said, Pastor Diaz, you could be doing something else with your life at this point. Why do you continue to do this work? And he said, Kendall, What God puts into your hand to do, you must do it with all of your might. And I think of that as I look at this jar of water and think about those who are waiting for water. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm grateful that God has sent us so many faithful partners to work alongside us in this endeavor.
Kendall,
Yes.
we're not seeing your slides anymore.
Oh, let me stop it and let me share it again. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
I wonder if you didn't see them because did you get to see these pictures?
No, that one we saw.
Now can you see them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me know that.
Okay.
Might have been a little glitch. So these are
Okay.
our in-country staff. So many of them all over in those networks. So there's Pastor Diaz with our in-country staff in Cuba. So I want to tell you just a quick story of something that just happened last year. And this involved a school down in New Orleans, Ursuline Academy, an all-girls school that is like they've got even a preschool all the way up through 12th grade. It's the oldest Catholic school in the United States. And they reached out because they had heard about Living Waters for the World, and they had a STEM class for some of their upper class women. And the STEM class was STEM for others. So they're focused on learning so that they can be of service. The school's motto is I will serve, and that is service for a lifetime. So they reached out and said, hey, we'd like to learn about Living Waters for the World. We have a sister school down in Peru. We plan to spend some of this class time learning about the culture of Peru, speaking to our sister classmates there, learning from them about the world water crisis, but especially how it is impacting them in their lives. And then we'd like to send someone from our school to your training to learn how to put the system together so that we too can learn how to put a system together. And they got a grant to fund all of this. So here are some of the students. They're learning to put the system together. Here they are putting the boards together. They're painting the board pink. That was the very first pink board that we had in the whole world. And here they are, this STEM for Others class, and they would like to challenge the rest of us to get on board with this. You are never too young or too senior or too anything to serve. We can all do our part. And so this was the first semester that they did it. That's a pretty good looking system there. And then they did the class again, and here are some of the young women who this time they went with a lavender board, which I adore. I was with them last weekend. I traveled down to New Orleans, and several of them joined me at a women's gathering, and we talked about what we had learned. And these young women want to continue serving. Some of them might become water engineers, but some of them are going to get into social work and be teachers. And so we can all serve. You don't have to be a water engineer to do this work. It's fine if you are. We'll welcome you to it. But I'm an English major, and I was an English teacher and a coach. So we'll welcome you to this service. So at the top of the hour, maybe before some of you hopped on, Rick and Lois Johnson, who are joining us tonight from Castle Rock, they were part of the Ridgefield Crystal Lake team that's in the Chicago area. And so I wanted to share this story tonight. I didn't know that Rick and Lois were going to be on. We were recently at the Youth Triennium gathering in Louisville, Kentucky. And we had a booth there. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of energy in the room. A couple of thousand youth and their advisors descended upon Louisville. And so we were set up there. We had all these flags of all the places where we work, and the kids were coming over and saying, that's my country. You know, someone from Cameroon or Ghana, some young men from the Yucatan came through, and I talked to them about the work that we're doing. And but this group walked by and they said, our church does that. And I said, well, who are you? And they said, we're Ridgefield Crystal Lake. And I said, do you mean Ricklepick? Because that's what they call themselves. And they laughed and they said, yes. And so they came into our booth. And I said, may I take a photo of you all? I'd like to send it to a few people and share it. And they said, oh, absolutely. They all agreed that that was okay. And the young man who is the tallest one there, who is holding a jar of water, he said, my mom does this. She goes to Guatemala, and he was so proud of as he held that. And I gave them all. Those are little fans, frisbees. You can throw them, and you can fan yourself. And I said, okay, well, hold these fans. You all are all Living Waters for the World fans, and so we took that picture, but I asked them to look behind them because on that banner that is behind them is a picture of another team, another community in another country. And I said, I want you all to know that that church, which is LaGrange Presbyterian, not too far from Ridgefield Crystal Lake, heard about Living Waters for the World because your youth groups were coming together and your church shared with them, and now they are working in El Salvador. And in fact, Connie's church, who's on this call tonight from Cranberry, is getting ready to go to El Salvador with that team. And their youth leader like held up her arm, and I could see that she had goosebumps and I had goosebumps because we never know what seeds we are planting when we're open to sharing. So I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to be with you all tonight, and I look forward to talking to you all. This is a little girl. I got permission from her mom and dad. This is Sashi, and Sashi lives in a town in Cuba. She lives in Placetas, Cuba. And there she is with her giant baby doll that was as big as her when I met her. She was a 3-year-old, and she showed up every day at our training when we were working with her church. We tested the water at the church, and we did something a little bit different as well. Just as part of the health education class, we take these agar plates and we drop just a little bit of the raw water, maybe from a local spigot, onto this plate, and we let it incubate for a few days. Well, this was the first time I had ever seen this happen. When I went to look at the plate, there were worms on it, and that was the spigot in the churchyard where everybody went to have a sip of water. You know how you are when you're a kid, you just put your mouth under the spigot and you just hold your hand there and you're just guzzling water because it's hot. Well, that's the spigot, and that was what was coming out of that. And the health educators went and took that agar plate to the operators who were being trained. And Sashi's dad was one of the operators, and he was heartbroken. He said, oh, I didn't know. And they said, no one knew. We couldn't see these things. And now we know, and now we have another solution. We didn't have a solution before. They were boiling their water. They try to take care of their water, but still, that's not a very sustainable way to purify your water. And so that system went in February of 2020. Little did we know what was awaiting the whole world, already incubating around the world by then. This partner got going right before COVID hit. And they continued to persevere and to serve their community in a very safe way. They never missed a beat, and they have served over 1.5 million gallons already to their community. And people line up all day long to come and get water. This is an Adventist church. They don't even take off Saturday. If people come for water, they're going to serve them. And let me know if you can see this picture now. Yeah, Sashi, we got to see her on a recent visit, and here she is with one of our team members roller skating and playing as kids should. And that is as God intended for all of us. So I want to share a quote that I came across, and I'm sharing this picture because, you know, a lot of what is going on in the world, in our country, maybe in our own community, might have us feel very tossed about on the ocean. And this quote really speaks to me to the work that we are doing, that you all are doing in caring for the earth. And it's a message for us. And this is from Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause that critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. There will always be times when you feel discouraged. I too have felt despair many times in my life, but I do not keep a chair for it. I will not entertain it. It is not allowed to eat from my plate. In that spirit, I hope you will write this on your wall. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe, there can be no doubt. But that is not what great ships are built for. So I want to pause there. This is my contact info. I'll give you all time to take a look at that. You can reach out to me. I'll make sure that Mindy has this and she can share it with you. And I'll give you all a moment to note our website, livingwatersfortheworld.org. And that's my cell phone number and that's my email address. It's a very long email. I'm so sorry. And then I'd like to stop sharing and I'd like to go to questions that you all might have. And I'm going to take a look at I'll look at the questions that are here in the chat, but maybe somebody has been keeping up with them. I see some came in while I was.
Yeah, I don't really see any questions, but there is a very interesting comment from Dorothy Geyer.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going to read that. Our church has just raised funds through church and VBS donations to give to watermission.org, located in South Carolina. Awesome. They are a non-denominational Christian nonprofit that designs filtration systems during times of disasters globally. Do you partner with them? We do not partner with them. I am familiar with their work. Probably not as familiar as you are, Dorothy. I am very grateful for all of the people in the world who are working, coming at this from different angles. We are not really disaster response trained. We kind of, we are more in the development after a disaster and once things settle. But I'm glad that you all are supporting them. And Living Waters for the World has, it kind of sparked this reminder to me. We have a full church curriculum that includes a vacation Bible school, and each day you visit a different child in a different country who now has clean water. And so I'll be sure to send that to Mindy as well. But it goes way beyond a VBS. It is also a teaching for youth or for Sunday school class as well. You could have a dinner where you just sort of learn about the world water crisis. A lot of this, it wasn't something that I necessarily knew about. And then you learn, and you can't unlearn these things. So very grateful for your church's faithfulness, Dorothy. I see some other comments here. Bill Reed, thank you for this. You see the 5-gallon bottles that LWW uses. They do get damaged by use and just age. So we don't know how to recycle them. Maybe you all have some thoughts on that. I've seen some turned into planters, but maybe you all can help us think on those, because they do get damaged. And then they're not usable. You can't put purified water. So I'd say that's some homework for you all. I can see Jane is already thinking of some things. I don't
Well, I am, but nobody around here wants to recycle plastic bottles, so.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Okay, someone asked for a reference for the message that I was reading. Was that the quote that I shared at the end, Joyce? I believe so. Yeah, I'll put that in the link, and you can find that quote. It speaks to my heart. Clarissa Estes is who wrote the quote.
Mhm. While people are asking questions about your slides, I have a
Yeah.
question about the flag slide that you had
Uh-huh.
with all the countries that you work with. And there were asterisks on next to some of the names.
Yes. Thank you. I think the asterisk dropped off at the bottom, the little note. Those are
Yeah.
the places where we have networks. So we have staff in those places who help us.
And some had 2 asterisks.
Yeah, Mexico has 2 because they have 2 networks. There's a network that's in the Yucatan and a network that's in
Oh, I
Southeast
see.
Mexico.
I
So
see.
2 networks in one country.
Okay,
It's a big
great.
place.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Judy wrote, our church in Hilton Head collects funds for the Marian Medical Mission. That's wonderful. Wells are developed in East Africa for $475 each. One of our members builds them each year. Thank you for doing that work, Judy. That's so important. I'm grateful. I had pretty good water in Botswana, but I wish I'd known then what I know now, because I don't think I would have gotten sick as often. Ugh. It's so important. Women are walking, girls are walking miles and miles. The journey is not safe, and the water is not safe. And we can do something about that. So I'm grateful for Marian Medical Missions and the work they're doing. I've heard a little bit about them.
If I could just make a comment about unsafe water and lack of water. So I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and we were hit by Hurricane Helene in September of last year. And we had no water for a very long time. Well, I would say we had no water at all for 2 weeks. And I had gone out of town to escape, and I came back and I said, hallelujah, we have water, except it was brown. So every day I would go downtown with my gallon jugs and get water out of a tank. They brought in tanker trucks of water for us. So we did have water, but it was very limited. It was a very humbling experience. I have to admit, because like you said, we're very reliant on that, turning the water on and it comes out clean.
That's right. That's
But
right. And there are a lot of people who are waiting on water. And, this is the only source that they have. It looks like this. And, we have this for our showers and it's every tap it blows your mind to think how we just don't think about how we utilize purified water. So I'm going to encourage all of us, the next time you brush your teeth, just give that some thought. And we can all pray for those who are waiting. We can give, and many of you, I see that you are very generous in your giving. Find a water organization. If it's Living Waters for the World, great. That's awesome. I see that some of you have found some other organizations doing very worthy work. Some of you have put water teams together to go and work with a partner on water. And if that is your calling, reach out. We would love to have you learn more about what's involved with that. We have some partners who they don't go, but they'll fund a system. And sometimes that happens. You don't have to be a giant church to do that. Most of our churches are small and mighty. And some of us come together to do the work in a whole presbytery or a couple of churches on this side working together.
Are there any other questions for Kendall or comments? Well,
Thank you.
thank you so
Wonderful
much,
to be with you.
Kendall.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening to see what people are having to deal with and the amazing things that Living Waters for the World is doing. So
It's
we
all our
appreciate
amazing
you.
volunteers.
Yes, we appreciate you and all your volunteers.
Thank you.
And for those of you who would like to share this presentation, I'll have the record.
Oh, Mindy, we lost your voice. I hate to tell you this. Mindy, we can't hear you.
Jane,
Yes, I can hear you now.
okay.
There
Would
you
you like
go.
me to share some slides before we pray?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please.
Let's see here. Just have a couple slides about some other upcoming webinars. Here we go. Next month, we have Maya Van Rossum, who is the author of the book, The Green Amendment. She's also the founder of Green Amendments for the Generations. And I think she also runs the Delaware River Keepers and some other things. She's going to be coming to do a webinar for us in September about taking our power back to protect people and the earth, with some focus on things states can do and hopefully eventually the country can do. Let's see here. Where's my... There we go. Also, don't forget, we have our conference coming up in October. You can come in person at Ferncliff Campa Conference Center, or you can participate remotely. And we have discounted pricing for that through August 31st. But of course, you can register after that. It'll just cost a little bit more. And I have a giant QR code here if you want to take a picture of that with your phone. That will, or you could just go to our website homepage and it will link to that conference. And one of the reasons why we have Kendall here in August to talk about water is because water is the theme of our conference. All right. And then in October, on October 27th, we're doing a book study on the Just Kitchen online, just a one evening to talk about this book. So if you want to get yourself a copy or download it, someone on our Presbyterians for Earth Care Steering Committee, Derek Weston, who also works for Creation Justice Ministries, is the co-author of the book. And both he and his co-author, Anna Wolfenden, will be also joining us for the study of the book. And there we go. Oh, just our last slide, letting people know that we don't charge any money for these webinars or most of the things we do. So if you would like to make a donation to our work, you can access that from our website. And I think that is it. If I can stop sharing. There we go. Okay, Jane, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, I just have a closing prayer for us. O God, you have called your servants to ventures of which we cannot see the ending, by paths as yet untrodden, through perils unknown. Give us faith to go out with good courage, not knowing where we go, but only that your hand is leading us and your love supporting us. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thanks, you all.